And just like that, we are halfway through the week. Hello again, everybody. Today we are moving on to our third and final branch of government. So as always, why don't we start on this e-board? We are going to scroll on down to Wednesday. You are watching this video now, so a big check plus for that. As always, you can click either the Google Doc notes to make a copy and move it to wherever you would like so you can organize your Google Drive. There it is, to fill out the notes. Or if you prefer Word, just scroll all the way down, and here are the notes as a document, Microsoft document, and here are the slides we will talk about today. You also have your Google Forms assignment, first page due now, the IO for today, and how would you define the word justice? And that's about it. And if you have any questions, please email me. So for now, why don't we just put our names, Miss H, and I'm just going to put gibberish for the do now, which is how would you define the word justice? So it kind of gives you a clue about what we're going to be talking about. We'll hit next. We'll be ready for our exit ticket later. And let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, here we go. So if you haven't already, take that time to fill out the do now, please. You can pause the video if you want, and then we'll get on our way. All right, another link for the assignment. And we are talking about Article 3 of the Constitution. So this article is what establishes our judicial branch. It is made up of 9 Supreme Court justices, and here they all are. The judicial branch's main responsibility is to interpret the laws for the country. So that is our final responsibility for our final branch. We have Article 1, the legislative branch that create the laws. Article 2, the executive branch, which enforce the laws. And then Article 3, the judicial branch, which interprets the laws. So what exactly does that mean to interpret the laws? Well, before we get into that, let's talk about what's the requirement in terms of you being on the judicial branch. So what political party do you have to belong to? Doesn't matter at the end of the day. We'll talk about how it might play into appointments, but there really is no, restriction or mandatory political party they have to be a part of. Who appoints them? The president. Again, that we'll get back to checks and balances next week, and we talk about how this all plays into it. Who ratifies the appointments? Now, this is where I would normally ask you guys what you think ratifies means or what does it mean. In this case, since I can't talk to you guys, I'm just going to tell you who basically approves the appointments, who gives it the okay, and that's going to be the Senate. Citizenship? Doesn't matter. Minimum age? None. Residency? Doesn't matter. And term of office? Guess what? For life. So this is by far the most, I guess if you want to say lenient, or has the least restrictions out of all of the branches. Now, what do they do? All right. So the term is going to be for as long as they shall hold their offices during good behavior. So as long as they're not doing anything illegal, or as long as they're in good health, they can hold their offices. They could retire if they want to. And again, this has to do with the good behavior part. They could be impeached, something we will also talk about later. The court receives about 10,000 petitions each year. They probably grant or hear between 75 to 80 cases, which is an incredibly small amount out of 10,000. When you really stop and think about it, that is a minuscule amount. And their salary is $255,300, which, it's pretty good to me. Sounds good. So keep that in mind for the future. Uh-oh, we're not going. Here we go. What's the role of the Supreme Court? So basically, in terms of interpreting the law, they're looking at laws that are passed by Congress, and they have to see if it goes with or against the Constitution. If it goes against the Constitution, if it seems like it conflicts with the Constitution, they declare it unconstitutional. Right? Makes sense? If a law is declared unconstitutional, it's thrown out. it's gone. And this power of review, this process of deciding whether it's constitutional or not, it's called judicial review. Very fitting name. And the deal is, when the Supreme Court makes this decision, it sets a precedent for all U.S. courts. Now, we've talked about precedent with George Washington, right? He set a precedent when he left after 2 terms in office. People followed suit before they made it an amendment. Same thing here. The Supreme Court decision sets this precedent, and then all U.S. courts kind of need to follow that decision. So if you have a case, here locally, they're going to look at all the decisions the Supreme Court has made, and if anything applies to the topic, they have to follow that decision, if that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. What types of courts are there? This one should look familiar to some of us who went on our field trip. We have the federal level, which is like a district court, a court of appeals, and the Supreme Court. So we know that's federal. That's like the national government, as opposed to our state level courts, which is our county courts, courts of appeal, Supreme Court, but not the Supreme Court, just the Supreme Court within the state. So a lot of us, if we get called for jury duty, you might be going to a state level court, although Miss Hebert, when she was called for jury duty, she actually did go to a federal court. So it all depends. All right, this video is awesome. So here is a link here. I also have it geared up. Here it is. I'm not going to play the whole video because it is so long. It's 6 minutes and I don't have time to play it, but I do highly recommend it because the video, it's a lot of fun and it's going to help you with your argument for tomorrow, possibly for a written assignment. But basically, this is Stephen Colbert working out with the oldest Supreme Court justice, who is, well, at the time of this video, was 83, which was 2 years ago. So we're 85 now. Look, I can do math. And it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and it's kind of cool because she works out with Stephen Colbert. So here's some examples. I'm going to go through to when it's kind of funnier.
Can I recommend a great workout song? I think you might enjoy this one. This...
I would never exercise to that noise. Let's shut it off.
No. Oh, we can listen to opera too.
Okay, so there you go. So take a look at that video when you get a chance. Wrong one. Oops, sorry. Where am I going? Back here? Here I am. Okay. And from there, friends, you are going to head to your exit tickets. What did we learn in school today? So you can click the link here. You can click it on my e-board. You can click it on Google Classroom, whatever you would like. If we go here, move this back up. All right, so here's your exit ticket. It's a little bit of a 3-2-1 exercise. Basically, if you could just summarize Article 3 of the Constitution and then write down 2 facts regarding the role of the Supreme Court, and then what is one joke from this video that you found funny that you laughed at. You shouldn't write this scene because, I just showed it to you, even though it is hilarious. And then if you scroll down here, you're going to do a matching exercise. You're just going to match each of these branches with the appropriate function. All right, so interpret laws, you would pick, is it legislative? Is it legislative? Is it executive? Is it judicial? Same thing here, right? And then same on the bottom. And when you're done, click submit and you're done for the day. Now, tomorrow's lesson is going to talk a little bit more about the judicial branch and if this concept of serving for life, basically, is it a good one? Is it something we should maybe look at again? Do you think it makes sense? What are the pros? What are the cons? So be prepared for that. I hope you have an excellent day. We're halfway through, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. All right, friends, have a good one. Bye.